Audio Jungle.
All right. Welcome in. Big episode today with the guy who claims that he has absolutely no clue what's going on, but always has a take. He's the most connected guy that I know. Noah's out on vacation, and I want to welcome in my guy Bell.
Stevie, lovely seeing you. First, I want to start this off by thank you, man. Thank you for having me on, man. I've been asking for a long time. Happy to be here.
I mean, I don't think little backstory. I don't think that I don't even really know Bo, to be completely honest. We just have mutual friends, and we automatically became friends through like texting and like video games. So great guy, and I'm fired up to be on here. And we honestly don't have much of a plan. I have a few things I want to touch on, but I know Bo likes to get fired up, has a lot to say, so I'm just gonna let him freestyle it, and I'm gonna freestyle it as well, and let's just see what happens.
Yeah, I can just interject on what you just said. I know, you kind of give a little backstory on us, but this might be sad, but you're just one of my best friends, so.
Oh, you're one of my you're one of my best friends.
Take with that, you know what I'm saying, man. Let's rock, man.
I respect that. Are you at a standing desk right now?
Standing desk.
All right, I love it. Well, what do you want me to start off on a topic, and then we can kind of see where we go from there?
Yeah, let's roll.
So the first thing I want to talk to you about, because, and it was the first when you were like, if you need me to sub in, let me know. If I cut out, my internet's dog shit, so I'll come back. Cool. But the first thing I want to touch on is album sales for artists, and something that you kind of, I don't know if I would use it as hold against, but something that you bring up often is the idea of like bundles being a negative when we're talking about like quote unquote like first week sales when it goes into a high profile artist's sale. Yeah. A great example of this is Taylor Swift is the queen of this. And then another great example is Travis Scott is the king of it. So I guess what my first question to you would be is, why do you view that as like a negative when you're talking about like album sales?
Okay, great question. And this actually leads me to a tweet that I just saw the other day. I might saw it today, actually. Not someone I like, but I do respect his opinion. He's one of the largest independent artists in the world. Russ.
Yeah.
Right? Did you see that tweet he had?
No, what'd he say?
He posted a tweet and said all these online internet numbers on streaming and album sales, they're all fake. And you can't sell at a stadium. Where are the real life ticket sales? Mm-hmm. Right? So I don't discredit album sales. It's a great metric to go on, right? I think Sexy Red's album just sold 23,000 copies, right? Something very minuscule, which is super ass, seeing as she probably has like 3 or 4 million followers, and she can only sell 23,000 copies of her album. The thing about album sales, I don't let it justify to me what is good music.
That's fair. So I guess to build on top of that, like for me, like when I look at like bundles getting sold, like being able to move like a physical product, and they have ways around it. Like Travis Scott throws t-shirts with it, hats, this, that, and the third. Taylor Swift does like journals, calendars. Who the fuck knows what she does? I guess I almost like view it as like more impressive, because if you're going to sit there and you're able to have like your diehard fans like buy something like something physical for them to have forever, like an album, a record, whatever that may be, a t-shirt, like that to me is almost more impressive than just having somebody stream your music on Spotify. And like that's probably, I can tell you one thing, nobody's buying a Sexy Red CD. So like probably all those numbers are just flat from streaming. So what do you think of that?
I disagree. I disagree solely from the premise is the only people whose bundles we're really talking about who needs, let me not say needs bundles. They don't need bundles. But if you look at like a Travis Scott, you look at like a Kanye West, you look at these people, they're arguably bigger in the fashion world, right? So it's easier for them to package in something they're bigger at, i.e. clothing, shirts, merch, X, Y, and Z with their music to make their music seem bigger than what it is. Whereas a Taylor Swift is going to sell buttloads of albums or whatever, no matter what. Her bundling and stuff, she'll sell it regardless. When we talk about Travis Scott, he's, I don't know, one of the main faces of Nike,
Yeah.
right? So for him to bundle in something, it's really not that impressive for him to add that to his album sales.
I thought I forget what the exact number is, and I can Google it real quick, but I know that he broke like the amount of records, physical records sold like ever. That's been like long standing for like 40 years. So just like I said, I think that like being able to push like real product as an artist, like as well as your music, because at the end of the day, if the music also wasn't good, we probably wouldn't see that product getting pushed as well. So I think it kind of goes a little bit hand in hand. I just think it's kind of a cherry on top, feeding the fans a little bit more because me personally, I know that if Drake came out with let's just say he packaged some sort of like I like his store, like his brand October's very own. I have some hoodies from there, some high quality stuff, some shit's super expensive. I think that if there was some way to intertwine and incorporate like him putting out an album with like an exclusive like OVO thing, like it would be a smash hit. And the reason that it would be a smash hit is one, the product will be sweet and really cool. And then two, the music would be really good. So I kind of view it as going hand in hand a little bit.
I agree with that take. I just don't think that I just don't like that that's added in because in our conversation, let's give some backstory. You were justifying the validity or the excellence or the magnitude of an artist's global reach by saying album sales when they're not purely album sales. They're selling a product outside of just music. Whereas when you compare it to someone that's selling just music, it's kind of apples and oranges.
I guess I like I said, maybe me and you view it a little bit differently, but I do view it in hand. But the most wrong take you've ever had of all time was saying that Travis Scott was not an A-list artist and he outsold Drake on Utopia
With
to
bundles.
For All the Dogs in the same year.
With bundles.
In the same year, though, you were just wrong about that.
He outsold him with bundles.
No,
Drake's the most streamed artist of the year. Travis Scott and Drake aren't even comparable.
They are comparable.
They're not comparable.
They're both A-list artists. Like when you're talking about tomorrow, who's selling out arenas, it's Travis Scott and Drake, and there's no argument about that. Can we agree on that?
No. Let's phrase this a little differently. Is Eli Manning a Hall of Famer?
Yeah.
Would you compare him to Tom Brady?
I would not compare him to Tom Brady, but he's
Drake's Tom Brady. Drake's Tom Brady. Travis Scott's Eli Manning. They're both Hall of Famers, but you can't really compare.
I think that we look at Drake right now, and he's more of like last year Tampa Bay Tom Brady, and you know what's crazy? That's a great comparison. Is Eli Manning beat Tom Brady in 2 Super Bowls, so that's why I think that like you start tomorrow, it's like those guys have very very equally popularity. And if we go tomorrow and we're like, let's sell out this stadium, Drake and Travis can both sell out a stadium very easily.
They have equal popularity.
Definitely.
What? Definitely. I don't think Travis is a top 10 streamed artist of the year.
You just said Travis is literally the face of Nike, which he is.
That has nothing to do with music.
But that incorporates everything with popularity as well.
But are we talking music or celebrity right now?
I just said popularity. Travis is the 18th most stream artist in the world.
And what's Drake?
Probably like 5.
Okay, so I mean, I'm not trying to throw any shade at Travis Scott here. I know you're a big Travis guy.
He's 7th. Drake is 7th.
Yeah, it's not really comparable.
I disagree. I definitely disagree. Like I said, if you need both of those guys to sell out a stadium tomorrow, they both could do it. Can you agree on that at least?
They both sell out a stadium.
What?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to say.
Does Travis Scott sell out New York City 3 nights in a row?
No. Travis Scott was the first ever artist to sell out SoFi Stadium 2 nights in a row. So you can't sit here and act like Travis's live show magnitude is like it's on par with Drake, if not bigger.
Okay, I'm not gonna get into that. I don't really know.
I'm just asking. Has Drake ever sold out SoFi? Because he hasn't.
I'm not sure if he has. I know Drake just went on the biggest tour in North America of 2024 so far. Taylor Swift probably is on tour and probably going to beat that or something like that. But
I think your numbers are wrong on that Drake tour. I really do. I'm just
Drake did
saying.
a lot of shows, man.
So did listen, Travis probably didn't do as many shows, but every single one of those shows were packed out. Travis was the first ever artist to sell out SoFi Stadium. So you can't sit here and say that like they're not on par to be able to sell out a show.
Kind of now that we're here, can you kind of run me down on your take about the Travis Scott Drake beef?
I mean, like I think that like I guess what my take is on like the whole like Drake thing in general is like if all of my homies, all my boys that I came up with and we're doing all this shit all seem to have some sort of problem with me, like when am I going to look into the mirror and be like I'm the issue? Like I have all these guys like longtime collaborators, longtime friends, like we have hit records together, we've done so much, we've done packed shows, and all of them hate me. And like when am I going to look in the mirror and take responsibility for that is the way I look at it. Like because I don't know anything that's going on obviously behind closed doors. But it just seems like in my opinion, like if I was sitting here and you were like fuck Stevie, Colt was like fuck Stevie, Nick was like fuck Stevie, and everybody was like dude, Stevie's a fucking douchebag, at some point I would have to sit there and be like maybe I'm the problem. Like, so I guess like I'm trying to figure out, and we'll probably never know. We'll probably know the light of day, but it seems that like Drake has done something along the lines with all of these guys to like rub them the wrong way. And I don't think it's like because Drake is fly or like he makes hit records or like any of that. It's way deeper than that. I don't think that like anybody's like, I heard people kind of use like the jealousy tactic, like, oh, they're jealous of Drake. Like, at the end of the day, like they were never jealous of Drake. Everybody has always said great things about Drake, big up in him, saying that he's put them on, like all this shit. It just seems like over the last two years, year and a half, that like Drake has done something within the industry to like rub people the wrong way, is the way I view it.
Okay. If you don't mind, just make a slight parallel here, right?
Yeah.
And I know you don't follow the W, but I'm gonna make a slight parallel here. Caitlin Clark, the biggest superstar women's basketball has ever seen. She is in the WNBA, and they hate her. I think this is my opinion. I think those girls, they hate her. They're at her neck. They're making her life hell. That's why the media is all over. That's just reality TV at this point, right?
Mm-hmm.
Not only do they hate her because they're probably somewhat jealous, right?
Definitely.
Envious, right? Whatever the case may be, she has uplifted that league, their lives. They don't fly commercial anymore. They got their own planes. They're on ESPN, X, Y, and Z, right? The same effect is true in the Drake scenario. He's coming to the rap game. He's put all these people on, Kendrick, right? J. Cole, Travis. I'm not saying he put them on like all the way, but he helped them, right?
Yeah.
Put all of them on, and he's at a point where he's kind of looked at negatively, right? Kind of like a Caitlin Clark. Not saying everyone's necessarily envious of him, and I'm not saying Drake's a saint. Drake's definitely a weird dude. He's going around smashing everyone's girl. That's super weird.
Yeah.
But I think it's the same type of effect. And as well, I've heard, you probably heard this as well, Drake may own a little bit of everybody's music.
Yeah, so one, I love the Caitlin Clark comparison. I will go back to that, but because I do have that written down. But like, I guess what I'm seeing currently is like I don't think he owns anybody's music. I think that like there might be some songs where he's like credited. Like a good example is like I know that he's not credited on like Sicko Mode, so he gets nothing from like, even though he's like the highlight of Sicko Mode, like he's not credited on that song at all. I think it's what you said originally, where Drake like has like this weird obsession with like smashing everyone's girl. Like,
yeah,
which is cool. Like, whatever, like if that's like what he wants to do, like whatever, you're a 40-year-old man, like you have kids, like if you want to smash everyone's girl, like it is what it is. So I think that like you can kind of root back, and I don't know, obviously, but like you can kind of root back. It feels like the Travis situation has to do with like Kylie. It seems like The Future situation has to do with a girl. The Metro situation has to do with a girl. Like all of it, which, like I said, at a point, like if all my homies are pissed off about something that I'm doing, like when am I going to sit back and take accountability for it? The Drake situation, and for me, is like honestly, like kind of sad. Like it actually like makes me upset because I want to be like wrong about like the newfound like hate that I have for Drake, because I'm like, okay, like he's gonna prove me wrong this next move. He's proving me wrong because it's Drake, and like he
You have
just
hate
like
for Drake?
right now, I just like maybe hate's like a bad word. Right now, I just like wish I texted you after the Kendrick beef, and I was
Okay.
like, I want Drake to sit away until October and give us a classic, and like sit down and like put together music, and then like the first thing that he does is like rap over the BBL Drizzy beat on like a Sexy Red song. Then he puts out some like Hey There Delilah cover with like a Toronto artist. And it's just like, is Drake like really just like not gonna lock in? It that's how I feel about it, at least.
Okay.
And like I texted Noah and I was like, this is crazy. And he was like, you just don't like anything Drake does. Like, this is obviously a parody song. Like, don't take it too serious. Like, blah, blah, blah. Well, like, excuse me for like wanting the greatest artist of all time not to put out fucking parody music. Like, I don't think that that is like a crazy thing for me to like not want. It's like I want you to take yourself as serious as I take you. And like you just got bodied in a fucking rap beef, and the entire internet and everybody is calling you a fucking pedophile, and the first thing that you do is put out a song, a cover by Hey There Delilah, like the Hey There Delilah cover. It's just like, dude, have some self-awareness.
Has he not earned the right? Has he not earned the right to kind of just do this though?
No, he
He
hasn't.
hasn't.
I think that if Drake looked at all of us and did a proper rollout for an album and put it out and it was a piece of music, yes, he has the right to do whatever he wants. But these like one-off goofy ass moves that he's doing like makes me sit around and be like, what is your inner circle doing? What is your inner circle being honest with you? Like, are they listening to what you're doing and saying, bro, that's fire, put that shit out? Because if they are, you need to cut off that inner circle, because this is not it right now.
I think you're boxing in a global artist. We are a very small demographic and portion of Drake's fan base. He's a global artist and he has masses to appeal to. He always does one of these one-off songs. I'm not really the biggest fan of him. Doesn't seem like you are either. He always does these one-off songs. Like his next two songs that come out are going to be on Camila Cabello's album. I doubt they're going to be what you expect as well. I mean, it's Drake though. I mean, he's going to deliver, but he likes to do this funky stuff, just like he dropped that Honestly Nevermind album.
But the Honestly Nevermind album like isn't like a brutal mess. Like I view like the Honestly Nevermind album as like a calculated risk, and like being like, I do want to try something different. This is the lane. I have the voice for it. I have the vibe for it. I'm going to put it out. I don't think I know that I say that that's like one of my least favorite Drake projects, but Drake doesn't have a bad project. There's just levels to the projects that he has. I don't view Honestly Nevermind as like a like when I listen to it in its totality and be like, oh dude, like this sucks and it's a miss. I'm just like, okay, like I like some of these songs on here. It's not my favorite thing Drake has ever put out, but the totality of it is still a decent project.
What's just so I have an idea? What's a better project, for all the dogs or the one with 21 Savage?
Man, probably the Her Loss,
Her
because
loss.
I mean, yeah, I like Her Loss probably more than the For All the Dogs project.
Okay.
It's the same situation. And I said this to Noah when he dropped the Family Matters diss. There's a lot of what it seems to be right now. We're off on a tangent, but it's fine. What it seems to be like right now with Drake is like he's extremely, extremely talented at making music still. And when he hits his peak, it's still the highest peak of any peaks. He has a very hard time getting rid of like fillers on songs, fillers on entire playlists. And like it seems like his focus like isn't as like direct as it could be when he's like putting together like a song or like an entire like catalog for an album.
2 cents. Two. Let me put my 2 cents on that because I disagree with that. I don't think his peak is the highest of all peaks. Right? I compare him to LeBron James. Right? LeBron James is an all-time leading scorer in the NBA, not because he can go out and drop 81, just because he's consistent. He's been doing it for a very, very long time. That's the same thing I feel about Drake. He's consistent. He's been doing it a very, very long time. But when it comes to best music, I think there's people that when they hit their peak, they're better at making music than him, just like there's better scorers than LeBron. But he's the all-time leading scorer for a reason.
Yeah, I guess I just brutally disagree. Like I just feel like Drake is like at a different level of making music than everybody else. That's just what I think though.
Drake has more songs I don't like than a lot of other artists.
Yeah, which is fair. I think, but that goes back to my point of like, if he were able to get rid of these filler tracks and like this random shit and make his work like more concise and focused, I don't really see that being an issue. Like I could see Drake putting out music that like does not miss. Like, so that is like my main issue with Drake at the current moment. Not to we just went off like on a big tangent, but
Yeah.
but like from the overall like Travis beef itself, like you said, these guys, bro, these guys all have their own hit records. Like whether if Drake gave them a number one or whatever that means, they still have a ton of big time smash records. They sell out. Travis, for example, sells out stadiums. They have loyal fan bases. They make a shit ton of money. Like you just like they're guys who are like faces of Nike, have their own Jordans, like do this, that, and the third. These guys are all super fucking famous and have their own money. It's not like they're reliant on Drake. So I think that like from the Caitlin Clark like aspect where you're like trying to compare those two, I see it, but at the same time, like if Drake left tomorrow off of all of these guys' catalogs of music, they would still make a shit ton of money. They still have a shit ton of fans who are loyal to them, and like nothing would change. They might not get a number one record every now and again, but at the end of the day, they're still super successful artists.
Can I ask you another, just a one-off question here?
Let's hear it.
What's the possibility that all these artists, the Futures, the 21 Savages, the Tygas, right, the 21 Savages, Travis Scott's, what's the chances that all of them generally just don't like each other, but they like each other enough just to work with each other and make music to make money? And Drake's just at a point now where it's like they're kind of over it.
I think that like that could be viewed that way, but I also think that like when you look at like I don't know who the fuck why you included Tyga, like that
Tyga
guy
just beat up Travis Scott the other day, so that's why I
you didn't even watch the video. He didn't.
Yeah, he got his.
Tyga it wasn't even Tyga. You didn't even watch the video.
It was his like manager or something.
Yeah, Travis like ripped him down, but it was like I think that like what's different is like you look at a relationship like Future, Travis, and Metro Boomin, for example. They've been making music together for like 15 years. Like they're homies. Like they've really come up together. Like they were working on shit when they were nothing. Like same shit with like Drake and Travis. Like I actually believe that like what if they are beefing or not, whatever currently, like I believe that there was a point in time where like they were like brothers. Like if it really felt that way. Like literally like 6 months ago, Travis and Drake were supposed to go on a European tour together to sell out the stadiums over there.
Mm-hmm.
And that got canceled. So I just think that like I think that some artists are. I think when we're talking about like the Drake, the Future, the Travis, like the Metros, like those guys are way more intertwined than and the 21 Savages are more intertwined than I think that like we even know.
Cool.
Because they do seem like at time it could be like Travis and Future and Metro seem like family.
I think there are, though, in industry relationships, and I think a lot of them are just fake.
I think like an industry relationship is like Sexy Red and Drake, or like Smiley and Drake. Like these
I
like
don't think so.
these like one-off weird like when
Drake has nothing to gain from them.
He doesn't, but like he
Nothing to
also
gain from them.
doesn't gain anything from doing anything for them. Like that's why it's just like I think that like when he signs like a Smiley, like the only reason that he hops on a song is because like of an industry relationship.
I disagree.
The same with Sexy Red. Like that Sexy Red situation is clearly an industry shit, bro.
I think like the Little Baby and the Central C song we just dropped.
That's industry.
That's industry.
That's industry shit for sure. That's a good example because that, by the way, the study that needs to be taking place of the fall off of Little Baby is insane. Back in, bro, I remember listening to Little Baby when he was like, listen, like I'm a white kid from like Central PA, but when Baby was feeding the streets, like, and had the streets buzzing, like there was really nothing like it. And I just can't believe how hard that he fell off. Like even that M for M song, like it's just like if it wasn't for that chorus, like that shit would be ass.
Yeah. Who fell off harder, him or Meek Mill?
I don't know. Meek Mill is a weirdo, so probably Meek.
Okay.
I mean, like honestly, like Lil Baby didn't do anything other than suck at music. Like Drake, like just flat ended Meek Mill's career.
Yeah.
Like you'll never like for the rest of time, like I can be 50 years old and be like, holy shit, Drake bodied Meek Mill. Like, like that's one of those that you just like never come back from.
No, I agree.
Do you have anything else you want to add on this?
Not on this. I was going to ask you another question.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
I was scrolling TikTok, and I get most of my information from there. So if it's incorrect, I apologize in advance. But they said they were taking bets for the first overall pick of the NFL draft next year.
Okay.
And the overwhelming favorite so far, I saw this on Pro Football Focus TikTok. Overwhelming favorite so far was Deion Sanders. Now, the dude started breaking them down and saying his opinions on it. I just kind of, where he kind of sees Shedeur falling, his strengths, his weaknesses, X, Y, and Z. I just kind of wanted to see your thoughts on it and then kind of jump into your thoughts on NCAA football as well. Kind of we're on the same topic.
So my overall opinion on like the Shedeur Sanders situation is like, I need to see him like away from his dad to have like a true opinion, because the way that he acts and everything that he does is just like so over the top and for optics that like, you know, that he will never get away with that at the next level. He doesn't even get away with it in college football now.
Like what?
Like the flashing the watch, just like the over the top flashy shit where he's done nothing so far in his career, with all due respect. And he like sits there and is like, I went Tom Brady mode and like all this shit. Like for me personally, his like attitude and his like demeanor and all of that shit is a massive red flag. And when you're sitting here though, and you're looking at like these guys who are getting taken in like the top 5, listen, this is just like facts. Like when you're looking at these guys who are getting taken in the top 5, they are going to be put under an absolute brutal microscope, and every single one of their moves and everything that they do is going to be judged. You are going to be the face of one of 32 organizations of the biggest sporting industry in the United States, and every single one of these sporting teams are worth billions of dollars. So when I'm sitting here talking about that, I'm not sitting here saying that this is because how I would feel. I'm telling you how when these teams and the owners and the GMs are going to feel when they're looking at him from a attitude perspective or his antics, because at a point they're going to be like, can we trust this guy? Is he worth it? And is all the baggage that comes along with Shedeur Sanders, is he worth paying and trusting to lead our franchise?
I think that there's a lot of hype around. I want to talk about Colorado football as a whole, but in a
Let's do
second.
it.
But I want to talk about him first, right? You're saying antics. I don't know what antics you're specifically talking about with Shedeur Sanders because he didn't really do anything. He's not an off the field problem. There's nothing really baggage wise that's coming with him. I was just kind of talking more so just overall quarterback prospect. As a quarterback prospect, just talent wise, I don't see him as a first round dude. That's what they have in the Pro Football Focus was saying. He was saying his arm, he can't really make outside throws, X, Y, and Z, holds the ball too long. I don't think he's overly athletic, things like that. But in terms of if I'm a team owner, if I'm Jerry Jones, that's someone I want on my team because he's bringing eyes, he's bringing dollars, he's bringing X, Y, and Z. I don't really agree with the off the field antics or anything like that you just said about him. I think he's more – I'd rather have him than Caleb Williams personality-wise.
Yeah, I disagree. I don't want guys, if I were to start building a franchise tomorrow, I want guys who are like at least of a distraction. I don't care about selling jerseys. I care about winning football games.
But how is he a distraction?
I think that like it's pretty safe to like give the analysis that like the aura of like and I think that it's not just him. I think his brother feeds into it. I think Coach Prime feeds into it. Like, that's why I said I want to see Shedeur Sanders away from his dad. The second that Shedeur gets away from Coach Prime, I think that is when we're going to actually be able to really have a true analysis of who he is.
Okay. Another question then. Do you hold this same sentiment for Travis Hunter?
No, not at all.
Why?
Bro, Travis Hunter seems to be able to like block out the noise. And I think that it probably comes from playing a different position. Not being the quarterback, not having everything on him. And even when it was on him, he doesn't seem like the kind of guy to be like too over the top.
I'm trying to figure out what Shedeur does that's over the top besides the.
Listen, like, I think that like
I think that was
Shedeur Sanders was like literally like talking shit the entire season. They were like one of the worst football teams in the NCAA. So like, it's just like, it's kind of like shit like that. Like, where I'm good without that. Like the cockiness and everything and like what he brings to the table is great when they're winning. It's awesome. Like, it's like, man, Shadeur's the fucking man. When he went down in OT, in like triple OT and like, or the game winning drive with a minute left and drove 80 yards to win the game. And he was sitting there with fucking big ass Coach Prime sunglasses on and said, I went Tom Brady mode, and they were 3-0. I was like, that's fucking sick. But when they are getting their shit rocked every single week by shit Pac-12 teams, and he runs in a touchdown and they're down three scores and he starts throwing up the fist, I'm like, all right, bro, like there's a time and a place.
I think you're giving him a really, really, really unfair draw. Coach Prime and him, they took in all these players. They had all this hype, and I kind of just want to touch on this and then get to the overall impact. But Colorado was terrible.
Yeah.
They were absolutely terrible. Now, Coach Prime came. They're still terrible, but they're better terrible. Right?
Yeah.
We'll see what they do this year. Hopefully they're a little bit better. But overall, that first, let's say, 3 weeks of the season, and actually 4 weeks of the season, and that Colorado hype was something unlike anything I've ever seen.
It was special. It was special. It was special. Shit was awesome.
It was real special. You think they're going to have that same hype this year?
So thank you for saying that about Shedeur Sanders. I probably am giving him an unfair draw, but I do want to see him away from his dad and then see how he acts. That's pretty much it. To go back then to your next question, I don't know. Like, there's a point in time where I want, like, kind of like I said about like the antics and shit like that. I want Coach Prime to reel it in a little bit. Like, listen, it's all cool. It's cool content and like the kids like it and all that shit. But at a point in time, you're running a football program. You're trying to win games. And when things are going really bad, you got to be able to reel it back in. And it felt like last year, he lost everybody. Like, everybody was wild. and everybody was doing what they wanted. And it was just like, Prime, step up and take control of this locker room. And I want to see him be able to do that this season if things start going bad, or kind of have it a little bit. And I'm not saying like make it like Frank Beamer, Virginia Tech football, and like everybody needs to be serious, but like when like no DeBaby on the sideline, no like shit like that, where it's like those are distractions at the end of the day. It's cool and all that shit, but what's the difference if DeBaby's sitting front row and not standing beside Coach Prime during a timeout? Like, you need to be able to have a time and place for the things that like they like to do. And I get it. It's Hollywood, and like Coach Prime brings a different energy to the field and all that shit. But what I want to see is like I said, all that shit's so cool when they're winning games. But when you're 4-8 and DeBaby's on the sideline wearing a cowboy hat and a iced out chain and no shirt, you're like, clean this program the fuck up.
All right, devil's advocate here. I mean, it may be what drives in Coach Prime getting a lot of recruits, right? I don't necessarily remember the recruiting class they had, but I know it wasn't that bad, right? So they had a good recruiting class because of that hype and because of the aura and everything they had. I guess I know you're saying you don't necessarily want to see it happen again with DeBaby on the sideline, Offset, all these dudes flying in and seeing it. I'm asking you, do you think that they have the same type of aura or hype around their program that they had last year going into this year?
Yeah, I do. I do think that. I think that what should be the goal for Prime and everybody else is to make that aura sustainable. And like, what's the best way to do that? Win football games, win championships, win your division. That's the shit that matters. That's how you get guys to the league. If you have a program where you're able to get guys to the league and you win a ton of football games, then you'll get the best recruits. Like, it's really that simple.
I mean, Stevie, let's think, right? Let's name the top 3 college football programs with, let's just call it the biggest aura right now, the biggest hype, right?
Okay.
Would you put Penn State in there?
No.
Happy Valley?
No.
You don't want to put the aura that they have?
No.
Okay, who are you putting up?
I'm putting Oklahoma. I'm putting Alabama. I'm putting Ohio State. I'm putting Michigan.
Alabama still?
Yeah.
Okay. I think that
because at the end of the day with Alabama, before you finish, Alabama has these donors and these NIL guys who can write $1 million checks whenever you want. That's the difference. So that's what I'm trying to say is like those programs, some of these programs are just different. And like Colorado, what?
And more like an LSU?
LSU is one of those programs.
Yeah,
but go ahead.
Sure.
What were you going to say?
No, I was just saying, like, I think that the aura behind the cult fan base, the Happy Valley, the biggest stadium in the country, the whiteouts, everything that Penn State has to offer, I think there's a huge aura around that now. Granted, we're Pennsylvania folk, so we may see it a little bit more. But I think the aura behind it, and they don't win Big Ten. They don't go to national championship, right? But every Sunday, people were sitting down watching them, selling out stadiums, XYZ. They're sending people to the league. So I get what you're saying, but I think it's a mix.
But you look at with Penn State, and I'm not a big Penn State fan, but you look at like the tradition that they've built over the last like 40 plus years, where they're always decent. They're always winning 10 games or whatever. They can't get over the hump, but they're always winning 10 games. You have, like you said, guys going to the NFL, guys who have storied careers, and it's a massive school. Like for Colorado to get to that point, like same with the donor base at Penn State. Penn State has a way bigger donor base than Colorado will ever have right now. So that's why I just think that like if Prime, what I would like to see is Prime have a shot at a real school. Like for him to make a real big impact is like if he went to like Florida State. Like if you were Miami. Like, let's hire Prime at Miami. Like let's hire Prime at Florida State. Like me and you will be having a different conversation. As of right now, the only way to keep Colorado in a relevant space in my opinion, is like all the antics and shit is cool at first, but when they started losing games, you saw how fast everybody turned on them.
Yeah.
So that's at the end of the day, like all of the shit's really cool, but if you're not winning football games, then you're in trouble.
I do want to say this. I think I spoke pretty highly of the Colorado football, or hopefully I did. I spoke highly of them so far. Colorado football, Shador, all that X, Y, and Z. I will go out there and say I do not think Coach Prime is that good of a coach.
Okay.
I think he's a figurehead. I think he gets hype. I think he's a marketing genius. I think he takes a lot of videos. He's good with social media. He's obviously an NFL Hall of Famer, a legend. But as terms of just a football coach, there's a lot of things that he does and says to his team and X, Y, and Z that I'm not really aligned with and I don't really agree with, and I don't think he's that great of a coach.
I respect that opinion. One thing that stuck out to me was this offseason when one of the kids on the team like got kicked off or whatever happened. And then like Shador was on Twitter, like saying like, oh, you're trash, like showing clips from practice. And then like Coach Prime gets on and says like, oh, you're trash. It's just like, calm down. Like, even if you think that, who cares? Like, let the kid say whatever the fuck he wants and keep everything in house. That's just how I would handle things, I guess, is like, who gives a fuck what the 18-year-old kid wide receiver has to say who wasn't that good? Like, we have a football team here and we need to win games. So who gives a shit about him? Like, let him say whatever the fuck he wants. So I think that like if Prime could do a little bit better of a job, because I think the figurehead aspect does work in college sports. Like you see it with James Franklin as a figurehead, like, and he's been very successful doing that. So if you're able to be like a figurehead like Deion Sanders, I think the way for him to be successful is continue being a marketing genius, continue to be a social media genius, because all that matters. But when things start getting sloppy, you need to have the wherewithal to stand up and be like, guys, I love doing all this shit, but if we're not locked in, I'll take all this the fuck away. That's what I want to see out of him. And I don't know.
What away?
I don't know, like no DeBaby on the sideline.
Okay.
Like, okay. guys, DeBaby's not running us out this week. Like, okay. I don't know, like just shit like that, or just, I don't know the exact answer, to be honest with you. But I think that like, if people watch this, they'll have a little bit of a clue what I mean by when I'm saying like, clean it up, because it's very like, it's more of like a circus than it is a football program. It feels like at times.
It's entertainment.
Yeah, it's entertainment.
Yeah, it's entertainment for TV. I agree.
Do you have any? You said you want to talk about college football. What do you want to talk about?
I think that this is just me throwing it out there. I don't think college football NCAA is going to be much different than Madden.
No, probably not.
I think it's going to be the same thing. But I don't know. I don't know if it's good. I don't know if it's bad. But
I don't know. And I think what sticks with all of us is like the nostalgic feeling of those NCAA 13-14 games when they were so good and they're fun to play and like the gameplay felt good. But like you look at we look at like, bro, some of the Maddens from like when we were like kids on PS2 are like better than like the Maddens now. So like, so it's probably going to be like the same situation where we're playing NCAA football and it's like bearable and we want to play it because it's NCAA football, but you're probably right. It's going to be the same fucking thing as Madden.
Same thing, man.
Do you have anything else?
I don't think so. What you got?
I want you to talk about the WNBA. And then the first thing to preface this conversation is that Bo reached out to me and was like, you need to talk about WNBA. It's extremely booming, like all this stuff. And I agree with him. Like it is booming, but there's also a lot of like the NBA is booming and it's the finals. And I don't talk anything about the NBA. I'm just not a big basketball fan. So that's the first thing. And the second thing is your girl, Angel Reese, excuse me, and don't want to fuck up her name because if somehow this gets to her, she'll fuck me up. So Angel Reese, she needs to let this Caitlin Clark thing like die. Cause like it seems that like she's like encapsulated by Caitlin Clark. And like, it's just kind of like, I respect the fact that Angel Reese is like, I'm the reason people watch the WNBA too, because she's right. And like, and she's extremely, there's reasons why famous female rappers are coming to see her at games and stuff like that. She's right. But like, when you talk about it, you seem like be that person that like, you don't have to talk about it. Just like let the action speak, because I notice it. You notice it. Everybody notices it. When you tell us about it, though, it's kind of like, shut up.
Yeah. All right. Well, let me preface this off by saying that my women's basketball enthusiasm started 2 national championships ago when Angel Reese and Caitlin Clark played, right? That's the
I
first
can
women's
confirm.
basketball game I ever played.
I can confirm.
That's the first time I ever played, and I was like, or watched, and I was like, you know what? I'm going to watch him next year. So let's fast forward, right? Caitlin Clark broke the all-time leading record, LSU women's basketball, blah, 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 Juju Watkins. All these girls started popping up, hella good. Paige Beckers, all of them started popping up, right? Started watching them, young group of talent. All those girls can hoop, right? It's entertaining basketball. Now let's transition to the WNBA, and then you're really gonna chime in on this. But the WNBA and the NBA, in my humble opinion, are under, I think you may agree, under terrible leadership on the direction of where the leagues are going, right? So Caitlin Clark comes directly off the NCAA national championship where she loses, right? And like 3 weeks later, she's in the WNBA training camp doing X, Y, and Z. Now she's in the season, right? She's had no turnaround time, no recovery, like straight from college to the WNBA, which is fine. I understand how it goes, right? She has put so many eyes on the WNBA. I saw a stat that said the Indiana Fever have sold more tickets in 5 games this season, the first 5 home games, than they did their entire season last year.
That's insane.
Yeah, it's insane. So people are coming out to watch her. It's a Steph Curry effect, right? They're flying charter. They can't be in public airports anymore. It's not safe for them. X, Y, and Z. I don't think it's a race issue. I think it's just a women being haters issue, right? Caitlin Clark is really just that girl, and she does things on the basketball court that we like to see men do, like Steph Curry, shoot threes. That's why he's really popular. She's doing on the women's side, making it very popular as well.
Yeah,
I think women in the WNBA don't like the notoriety that she's getting.
that's true.
And I think that they're playing rough with her, which is fine.
Yeah,
right. I'm all good for hard nosed basketball. But at the end of the day, they need to realize that she is the cash cow. She is the reason that in 3 years, the WNBA may be on ESPN 2 days a week, and they need to relax.
I think that's completely fair. And there's a few things I want to touch on. The first thing that I want to ask you, why is it that in the media, whenever anything happens, that the first, for example, the Caitlin Clark and the one girl from the Chicago Sky, or the Caitlin Clark getting praise or whatever. And I let me know, because I actually it's a genuine question I'm asking. Why is it automatically turned into, well, the media is racist and that's why Caitlin Clark gets all this attention? Or it automatically turns into a massive crisis and it automatically goes towards race. And me personally, I don't give a fuck if Caitlin Clark is white, black, whatever. It doesn't matter to me. She is fun to watch. So I guess what can you give me some insight of why people need to turn everything into a race war?
Yeah, I think there's probably 2 things to it, right? I think the WNBA is such a young league that they really any media attention they get, they think is really great media attention, right? And no one knows anything about the WNBA. This is the first time they've ever been covered in the media. So everything is being blown out of proportion. I also think that the WNBA, I don't know the stats, but if you just look at rosters, it's probably 85% black women.
Probably.
Right? 85% black women. The biggest star that just came in as a white chick, right? Anything that happens, maybe I would assume that's it, but I also think this national media using race to gain clicks is also just a really popular thing.
I don't get it. I guess I just don't understand why like if Angel Reese goes and says something about Caitlin Clark, why even on the other side of things, where like it's like, oh, she's only doing that because like Caitlin Clark's white. Like it's
Mhm.
just kind of like it's just basketball. And like they don't like each other because of jealousy and money and all this stuff, which ultimately I think is actually a good thing for the sport because
Yeah.
the best shit that we get from the NBA and the NFL and all this shit is like when people hate each other, that's the best. So like
Yeah.
in 2 years, if we see Angel Reese and Caitlin Clark in a WNBA finals and they're chirping at each other and they still hate each other, that's good for the sport. But like when you make it like this bigger crisis and like make it about race and like all this ugly shit that like we're trying to do such a good job of like not having that be an issue and
Mhm.
like constantly nailing it home and making that to be the main problem. I personally feel like it takes away from the sport a little bit. The people who are covering it and everything who are trying to that sit here and say like, oh, we want to grow this, we want to grow this. Like then let's grow it. Like, let's make it special. Like a good example is the woman the other day on First Take with Stephen A. I saw it on Twitter where she like owns Stephen A and was like, well, you could have been covering the WNBA 3 years ago. Yeah, you're probably right. But guess what? The WNBA 3 years ago fucking sucked. So we didn't
Yeah.
talk about it. Now,
Yeah.
now we have 6 new girls who came into the WNBA who are fun to watch and like and have a personality, have a social media presence, have all this stuff, and are generating real buzz. I cut out, didn't I?
Yeah, you did just cut out.
What did I say last?
That generating real buzz.
Yeah, I mean it's generating real buzz, and I just think that we should let this moment happen instead of like trying to like be like, oh, like you should have covered the sport 3 years ago. You should do this, you should do that. Like, let's just have it be what it is right now and let's grow it.
I agree. So let's go back to the national championship, right? Or the Final
Yeah.
Four, the women's Final Four. When Diana Taurasi and all these women basketball like legends were watching, and they were all like, "Oh, Caitlin Clark's gonna struggle. She's gonna struggle. She's gonna be." Da, da, da." They were hating, right? It's just hate,
Yeah.
right? So she's been getting hated on since she was in college, right? Now that she's in the WNBA, right? Kind of like I don't know. I mean, you and I give me some feedback here, but Caitlin Clark has been getting beat up, hard fouled, doing all this stuff, and she's the one that's bringing the viewership. If you were in the leadership of the WNBA, what would you do? Would you tell the refs something? What would you do like the Jordan rules, like they did back in the days where they're like, hey, don't hard foul Michael Jordan? Or what would you do differently?
I think that there's two things to this is I think a really great point that you brought up is Caitlin Clark went from playing a full deep season of college basketball to automatically playing a long WNBA season. And she's probably like just going through a lot of adjustments and she's tired. The second part of that is like when the unnecessary shit happens, like when that one girl from the Chicago Sky like just mauled her for like no reason, like that should be like fine her and give her a suspension. And guess what? Just like how you do in the NBA. And guess what? She'll never do it again because she'll be like, wow, I just got fucking fined a lot of money.
Yeah,
So I think that like now that we have stars in the WNBA that this could happen to, you need to take the proper steps to be able to cover your ass if things do like this do happen and set a precedent to be like, okay, like if I do this to Caitlin Clark or if I do it to anybody, it's going to lead me to a 1 game suspension and like a fine. So I'm not going to do it again.
yeah. So let's dive into this even a little bit deeper, right? I am me and you, we don't have any inside information, right? Behind closed doors, Caitlin Clark could be the biggest asshole. But let's just go under the assumption that she's a regular girl, right?
Yeah.
People like her, some people don't like her, whatever the case may be. She's just a normal girl, right? Even after that girl hip checked her, none of her teammates ran over to help,
Yeah.
right? That speaks.
Yeah, it
That
does.
speaks. How come no one came to help? I'm getting cheap shot. No one came over. You saw like Angel Reese and the girls on the Chicago. They stood up. They started clapping. They started doing X, Y, and Z. How come no one from the Fever team came over? Right? The Fever were the worst team in the WNBA. Now have the biggest star. They're still terrible. Right? I saw videos of Caitlin Clark dishing them great assists, and they're just missing layups. Right? They're still terrible. So that's number one. They need the team camaraderie and girls not coming to help her. That's bad. Secondly, the coach. The coach said, like publicly, like, I don't want to come out and say anything about the refs. I don't want to get fined. This is the biggest star in the WNBA that they've ever seen. Do not be worried about getting fined.
Yeah.
If you don't speak up for her, you're gonna let this league like diminish because she is the one that's propelling it on her shoulders right now.
I think these are all really great points. It seems like right as of now, the WNBA, they were not equipped to house a real star yet. And it feels like now that it has happened, they're like almost like, okay, like what are we supposed to do? From a leadership perspective, from a coaching perspective, from her teammates' perspective, bro, I think that this hate shit is real, bro. Like these girls get paid 60 grand a year to hoop.
Yeah.
Like they live in worse apartments than me and you. And like they are on a team with a girl who is going to have a lifetime Nike contract. Like they're on a team with a girl who's going to have like a lifetime Gatorade contract and sell millions of shoes to girls and boys and all these people. And like, she's already a multi-millionaire. Like, I think for a lot of them, they're just going to struggle with that because she's an oddball out of the group. Nobody else in the WNBA is making this type of money that Caitlin Clark is making. Plain and simple.
No one. Mm-hmm.
So I think the pay gap disparity is going to hurt her at times. I don't think it should, because the way that all these girls should really look at it is it's possible. She made it possible for us because now we're able to get deals. We're able to get brand deals, this, that, and the third. But if I'm really good, I can get a lifetime Nike contract because I think that she's going to be like Serena. Like,
for sure.
Like I think Caitlin Clark is going to be like that type of like female face athlete that like we're gonna talk about forever. She's special, and like I think that she's built for it. I think that like she seems normal, like, you know what I mean? Like she seems like a really normal, humble girl. After every game, she's taking pictures with fans, and like you see all the people who are there to see her. She seems extremely grateful. So from a leadership perspective, like you said, the WNBA, and we can talk about the NBA too, but it just seems maybe like the WNBA, they weren't ready for this.
I haven't heard the commissioner come out and say anything. I mean, it's crazy when you hear more. I hear more things from LeBron James defending Caitlin Clark than you hear from women in the WNBA, right? The biggest NBA player coming out saying there's comparables to him and her when he came out of high school, but no one else is really standing up for her or taking her side, and I think it's weird. I think it's real weird.
Hey, it sucks. And I agree with you. I give you a hard time about liking the WNBA. But it is in a cool spot, and like hopefully it doesn't get ruined by like the media and the people in the league like sabotaging it, because that'd be upsetting.
Stevie, we can go to a WNBA game, courtside tickets, $20.
I'll do that. I'll do that. This is like a great time.
Whenever you want.
Do you have anything else that you want to add on the WNBA topic? Or are you happy with how we represented it?
I'm happy with it.
I have something.
Let's hear it.
Because there's a lot of stuff that LeBron James is doing currently. So the first question I'm going to ask you is: LeBron James his own worst enemy? And there's two things that's going on currently, and some other stuff that we can talk about as well. The latest clip with him on the JJ Redick podcast, he goes, "I'm so mad I'm not his running mate anymore. He's the most fucking gifted player in the NBA." Yeah. He was talking to JJ Redick about Kyrie Irving.
Mm-hmm.
let's go back to the reason why they actually broke up. LeBron, after the 2017 season, wanted to trade Kyrie Irving for Paul George and Eric Bledsoe. And Kyrie heard about that and then demanded a trade out of Cleveland. So first thing, like, LeBron, shut up. You were the one who didn't want Kyrie in the first place. And number two, I'm tired of every single coach being the fall guy for LeBron James at this point in his career. It's annoying. It's hard to watch. And then now the head coach for LeBron James is going to be somebody that he does a podcast with. Yeah. When does it end? LeBron at this point, bro, like, I don't know if like he has too much power or like whatever, but like it just seems like he's constantly getting in the way of himself the last 4 years.
Yeah. So I want to say something at the end of this about the longevity of NBA players. Okay. Don't let me forget. But I the first thing that I kind of want to touch on here when I read that, because I saw that today too, I was kind of like, if I'm Anthony Davis, how do I feel about him saying this? Right? I'm his running mate right now. Like, why is he mad? Why is he talking about him when it's me, right? If I'm Dwayne Wade and I'm reading that, I'm like, why is he saying that? Me and him won 3 championships together, right? I think they did 2 or 3. So LeBron, is he his own worst enemy? I mean, LeBron is just, he's one of one, man. He gets on IG, his stories, and he starts fake rapping these songs. He doesn't know the lyrics. Like, he just, his off season was just like a complete joke. Like, I don't really know how to explain it. But I do think that was really weird. I do think that he was just trying to big up Kyrie, because it's a big moment for Kyrie. The media was hating him for a really long time. I think maybe his intentions were right, but I think the way it came off and how we all interpreted it was extremely wrong.
Yeah, it felt weird.
Very weird. Very weird. Because at a point, like, they didn't like each other.
They hated each other.
They hated each other.
They hated. Well, like, I don't think LeBron hated Kyrie. Kyrie hated LeBron because of the reason I said. They had something going in Cleveland, and the first chance or the first sign of like rough waters, LeBron was trying to dish him. Like, first off, you look back at that trade, all-time bad move by the GM to not sit there and be like, okay, let's trade Kyrie for Paul George and Eric Bledsoe. Instead, he traded them for Isaiah Thomas and Jay Crowder. So first off, the fucking GM for the Cavs at the time was a complete dumbass if LeBron didn't commit long term or not. But so that happened, and then go ring me in on this JJ Redick thing and what you think about it, because it feels, not only does it feel extremely forced, it feels weird that like this is happening. I don't know. I can't believe it's happening, at least. I
think JJ Redick is a super smart dude. I think he could be a super good coach. Under the circumstances of coaching LeBron, what LeBron James has been doing is pretty ridiculous, right? Forcing his son Bronny basically into the league, right? Handpicking his coach, starting a podcast with him, handpicking him, getting his old coach fired, doing all these things. He is too much in control, right? But he's arguably the greatest player ever. He's been in the league 20 plus years. That's the kind of power that he has, right? The JJ Redick thing really went on. I mean, I don't really know what to say. We all know that he's going to be the coach. They're waiting until after the finals to announce it because he is announcing the finals. So if they would announce it right now, I think it would be a little bit weird for him to announce the finals and be the Lakers head coach. I do think JJ Redick has potential to be a good head coach. But I also saw like Colin Cowherd or whatever his name is say JJ Redick on his podcast with a backwards hat, talking LeBron, drinking wine. Like, that's not actually the image that you want an NBA head coach to have.
I saw that.
Which too. I understand that as well, right? You're going to be in the locker room. JJ Redick's not that old. What, he's mid-30s, late 30s?
Yeah.
He's going to be – is LeBron older than him?
No, I think JJ's 40-something. I think him and LeBron are like around the same age.
Okay. Well, I mean, he's going to be in a locker room with dudes that realistically he's not that much older than.
Yeah.
Right? how is he going to reel in and control a locker room? You see, even someone like Doc Rivers has a hard time controlling a locker room, right? So I mean, I don't really have too much to say about it. Lakers organization is just Hollywood. I don't really think with LeBron there, they're really fighting to win a championship. I think they're kind of just setting
Coasting.
themselves up. Yeah,
Yeah.
coasting. But go
Yeah.
ahead, give me your thoughts on it.
So first off, that Colin Cowherd take was like, at first when I first heard it, I was like, that is fucking stupid and ridiculous. But then when I like re-listened to it and like internalized it, I was like, that's actually a great point. Because like you are like it's kind of the same argument I used earlier when I was talking about like Shador. Like you are going to be like the face of the organization in a way by being the head coach, and like are you going to represent that position well? And so I thought that that was like an interesting viewpoint from Cowherd's like perspective, where he was like, actually, like, I don't like the fact that he's sitting on a podcast with one of his current players sipping wine with a backwards hat on. It seems too casual. Um, what sucks is I think that JJ Redick could be a great NBA head coach. Unfortunately, with LeBron James as your star player, it's impossible. He LeBron will never allow a head coach to be a head coach. It will never happen because he's too elevated. LeBron wants to do things his way, and that's fine. But it doesn't matter who the head coach is. It just sucks that LeBron, who he has a great relationship with him as of right now, that we're going to end up seeing that relationship get turned in some sort of way as soon as the media starts getting involved and like flipping
Yeah.
narrative, this, that, and the third. But like another thing, like going back, like why I think that like LeBron is like his own worst enemy in a way too, is like he demanded to have like Russell Westbrook on the team.
Yeah.
You get Russell Westbrook on the team, things start going bad, and then like it's like, well, it's Russ's fault. Like I don't have his back
Yeah.
anymore. I'm just it's tough as a LeBron fan. I was a massive LeBron fan. As of late, like there's just better guys to watch, and fatigue probably. But at this point in his career, it hurts to kind of see the direction that LeBron has gone towards, because I would like to see, like, if you have a really talented GM in the building and a really talented head coach, and I think it's a bigger conversation across all NBA players, like the guys who have real voice and real say, like KD, LeBron, like this, that, like the back half of their careers, because they're too powerful and because they have too much say, they've almost like sabotaged themselves in a way, instead of just like letting the GMs do their job, letting the head coaches do their job, and instead like making it all about themselves. And I think that we missed out on some like valuable years from some of those players that could have happened because they were too selfish.
I think that's all NBA players though, and to a sense, right? Like even Carmelo, like why do you think he doesn't have a ring?
Yeah, that's a
Right.
good.
He's always been the NBA superstars have been like that.
It's rough, and maybe we can talk about this another time, but the player empowerment era of the NBA and how it has shaken out and what it looks like going forward. Maybe that's a good episode that me and you can sit down and do another time. But yeah, so that's pretty much the LeBron James topic that I want to talk about, unless if you have anything else that you wanted to add on it.
Yeah, I wanted to add this in, right? Because I saw this take on TikTok and I really think I'm rolling with it.
Okay.
Right. This is the most skilled era of basketball ever.
Okay.
Right. I think most people can agree with that, right? The skill level of passing, dribbling, shooting, X, Y, and Z is athleticism is through the roof, right? But the reason why a LeBron James, a Kevin Durant, a Steph Curry, and these players are playing such long careers is that this intelligence wise, this is the stupidest era of basketball we've ever had, right? So a perfect example that I heard this guy say was Karl Anthony Towns, right? Karl Anthony Towns, skill wise, shoot, dribble, pass, dunk, do X, Y, and Z. But in terms of basketball smarts and intelligence, these guys just they're idiots, right? So a LeBron James, a Steph Curry, a KD, a Chris Paul, even, right? These guys that are just basketball smart, they can still go on the court and they can still win matchups and still be very like beneficial and impactful on the court just because they're playing against a bunch of guys that essentially don't know how to play basketball.
Yeah.
And I really like that take because LeBron James playing basketball at LeBron James a freak, right? Everyone knows he's a freak. But him playing and being an All NBA at the age of 40, right? Come on.
Yeah.
Come
Yeah,
on.
he's able to, like, manipulate the game in a way that, like, maybe in previous decades and eras, like, you weren't able to do so because they would be able to figure out ways to shut him down, but as of right now, like, although everybody is extremely skilled and high-level players, they're, like, sloppy in a way.
Yeah, like even we're gonna watch the finals are gonna be Luca and Kyrie versus Jason Tatum and Jalen Brown, right? 60-70% of the offensive possessions are just going to be ISOs for one of those four dudes,
Yeah.
right? Pick and roll, either throw a lob, step back three, I don't know, pass and dunk, whatever the case may be, right? Or corner three. It's very simple, but the basketball intelligence and IQ just isn't there. And I kind of like that take.
Yeah, no, that's a good one, and it makes sense to see some of these guys, like, go deep in their career, so, let's round it out with this, and then we'll wrap it up. We're a little bit over an hour. Um, for the finals, and this is something that I don't know if you ever listened to Bill Simmons or Ryan Russillo. Those are, like, my guys who are, like, in my rotation heavy. They're heavy podcasters, some of the biggest sports podcasts in the industry. They said they're big NBA guys as well. They both vote for, like, MVP, All NBA. Um, Bill Simmons brought up, like, a really great point when he was like, all I'm hearing about is how great, like, Kyrie and Luca are on offense, but, like, you look at Tatum and Brown's numbers offensively as well, and they're legitimately the exact same.
Yeah.
Like, they're both, like, combined, like, averaging the same amount of points and doing the same exact thing, and it was just like, why is everybody so excited about Luca and Kyrie? Obviously, Luca's probably the best player on the planet, but almost, like, shy away from the fact and, like, take away from, like, Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum.
I think solely because the Celtics, not only this year, but specifically this year, their path and their route to the finals is absolutely a cakewalk.
Yeah.
Right? They just beat the Pacers without their best player, right?
Mhm.
Before that, who they played? The Sixers with no, who they played before that? They played
I have to look.
they didn't play the Knicks. They played without Giannis. They played Bucks without Giannis, I think.
Okay. They played, let me take a look here. The Cavs,
The Cavs, that was easy.
and then they played, where the hell is it? The Heat. So the Heat,
Without Jimmy Butler.
the Cavs, without Donovan Mitchell towards the end,
Yep.
and the Pacers
Pacers.
without Tyrese Halliburton.
At the end. Yeah. So their path to the finals, the East is a lot weaker than the West, right? But their path to the finals has just been a cakewalk.
Yeah.
They've been kind of dominating over there for a while, but I mean, they've been winning their series in like 4 or 5 games.
Yeah, they've been
Luka
taking
and
care of
them,
business.
yeah, they have been.
So I guess probably, like, the only argument then is, like, Luca and Kyrie are just, like, infinitely, like, more fun to watch. So, like, that's probably why, like, everybody's, like, so amped up. I mean, I get it, like, when there's guys like that instill fun within the game, they're gonna get a lot more eyes, and, like, I think everybody's extremely happy about the Kyrie situation.
Yeah.
I was a known Kyrie hater because I didn't care about all the other shit. I just wanted to watch him play ball because he's a dog. So,
Mhm.
like, I'm happy to kind of, like, sit there and see that. So, yeah, who do you like in the NBA finals? Give me a finals prediction. I'll give mine, and then we'll round it out.
Finals prediction. I think just going back to the 2v2, I think Luka and Kyrie are a better two than Jalen Brown and Jason Tatum. I think 3v3 when you add in Derek White and then whoever you want to add in three for the Mavs, the Celtics take it. I think the Celtics have a deeper and better team. Also, if they don't win it this year, you got to break that up. So I got Celtics in 7.
Yeah, I have Celtics in 5. I have a plus 420 bet on the Celtics in 5. So if that hits, I'll be fired up. But
Wait. Why do you have it in 5?
honestly, the same exact reason you just said. I mean, you get Porzingis back. If Porzingis can be 80% of what he was. I think he makes a big impact. The rest of the Celtics team, they just have a better squad than the Mavericks. And the Mavericks have kind of played in some dogfights this postseason. And the Celtics have been low key, resting, getting going. What worries me is if they can't wrap it up, is that Joe Mazzulla, as the head coach for the Celtics, if it gets tight, I will start to worry. And I think the Mavericks can keep it. But if the Celtics can take care of business how they should, I think that they can wrap this up pretty quick.
Finals MVP?
I personally would like to see Jason Tatum win a Finals MVP. I know that I really don't understand the hate around him. Personally, he seems like a really good dude. He's really good at basketball. He's done nothing but win, since he's been in the NBA. He's 26 years old and he literally makes deep playoff runs every single offseason. So to see him kind of get over the hump and win a championship, I think would be pretty cool. And win Finals MVP, I think would be cool.
Not mad at that.
What do you think, Luka?
I'll go Derek White.
Bro, you should bet that.
I should.
You should bet that, and then when it hits, you can post the ticket on social media and look like a genius.
No, hell yeah, I will.
And I'll tweet this. I'll tweet this clip out if it hits.
All right, let's do it.
Hey, brother, hell of an episode with you. I'm gonna chop this up into a few parts and post it on YouTube, but I appreciate you stepping up when Noah missed, and I had a great time doing this.
Hey man, I appreciate it, man.
All right, brother. Love you. Thanks for doing this.
Yeah, later, G.
See ya.
Audio Jungle.